It's 11:59 at Gun Owners Radio, and this is the Penn Patriot, music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I've got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, and another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind American lines, this is your song.
What do you use semi-automatic weapons for?
To defend yourself against home invaders, but also, let's be clear, against tyranny.
You said that you could use a semi-automatic weapon to fight tyranny.
Sure.
You mean you'd use it against American troops?
The very existence of the Second Amendment is designed purposefully to empower the people to be able to resist the force of tyranny used against them to step over their natural rights given to them by God. That is why the Second Amendment exists.
So every week we started doing these videos, to intro, like these little short, couple-minute videos, talk about the Second Amendment. Somebody says something smart or stupid, and it's involving the Second Amendment. We like to play it. Normally we don't comment on it, but I wanted to point something out in that video. He said, hey, the good guy said, hey, the Second Amendment is, you need a semi-automatic weapon to defend against tyranny. And then what was his response? You mean you'd use it against American troops?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Incredulous.
Well, what are your plans for American troops? Why would you automatically assume American troops are going to be tyrannical? Why would he automatically go there? It felt like he was, I don't know. It felt like he was, like a Freudian thing, or you know what I mean? Like, wait. I would not imagine. My first thought wouldn't be like, oh, tyranny. You mean American troops?
Right.
But that's immediately where he went.
Yeah.
I mean, what exactly? He said a tyrannical government. And this guy made what you mean? First off, there's so much. It was so telling. It was such a slip up, such a peek into this guy's psyche, I think. But anyway, I don't know.
That was funny.
Am I off on that? Am I going
No,
somewhere?
not at all. I thought it was hilarious. The way that he was so, he thought he had a zinger. He was like, oh, I'm really going to get him. And then the guy was like, no, wait a second. Like, that's literally what the Second Amendment is there for. So
yeah.
I thought it was funny.
I don't know why people get so excited about semi-automatic firearms.
Well, the way he said it, they clearly have no clue what they mean by semi-automatic. They just hear the term. I think if they really knew what it meant, it wouldn't have the power they think it does.
What percentage of firearms do you think today in 2026
Are semi-automatic?
Are semi-automatic?
In the U.S., owned by people in the U.S.?
Let's just say, no. Actually, let's go this route. In 2026, what percentage of new guns purchased will be semi-automatic? So if you walk into a gun store and you purchase a firearm.
Purchased by civilians.
By civilians.
I would say this 99.8% or something.
Right.
Somewhere
high up there.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's that, but it's pretty high. I mean, unless you're
very few.
If you're not counting militaries making mass purchases of,
right.
If you're just talking civilians.
Average everyday person walks in off the street. They're going to buy a pistol. They're going to buy a shotgun. They're going to buy a rifle. It's most likely going to be semi-automatic.
Yeah. Very few are not. Revolvers, right? There's a few that are not, but most are. Revolvers,
which I don't know. I
kind of lump revolvers into the semi-auto, family, because when people think about semi-auto versus something else, I think most people are thinking either something that's single shot where you have to load, every round individually, or something that is, fully automatic. Those are kind of the categories,
Yeah. Yep. For the most part, the only purchases that aren't going to be semi-automatic, it's going to be like a double barrel shotgun, an over-under side-by-side. It's going to be a pump-action shotgun. It might be like a hunting rifle, bolt-action shotgun.
Yeah.
But those aren't uncommon. A lot of hunters across the country buy those things. I have a few. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think less than 1% of the normal, gun share when you think about, DGM sells 100 guns in a day. Probably only one of them is going to be side by side.
Side by side,
Or,
even if we're way off, it is well over 50%.
Oh, yeah.
So this guy, I don't know if he even realizes that he's talking about. He's basically saying, why do we need to allow 80-90% of the guns that people are purchasing for self-defense? Why do we need to allow that? Why can't we just make 80 or 90% of the firearms that are being sold illegal? I don't think he realizes the scope and the ramifications of the conversation he's even having.
He doesn't understand the term he's using.
I think he was really saying, why do you need guns? Like, that's what he was saying. He just thought he was saying it in a smarter way.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And it's a powerful message that was given by the speaker to start that is lost on youth today, I think. And that's something that's not
Which is what?
the whole intent of the Second Amendment.
Right.
Right. The spirit of the intent, just the whole core of why it's here.
Well,
I don't think our youth are getting that.
I think you're right, and I think that the term tyranny is maybe even we use it a little too narrowly. It's a little too specific. People think tyranny, and they think like some kind of dictator has taken over the government. I mean, the guy who in a dark alley who says, "Give me your wallet," is tyranny. And I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to have guns in order to defend ourselves against our own government. It could be a foreign government. It could be a bad guy down the street. It could be a domestic partner who has decided that they want to, tyrannize you and what, you know what I mean? Like it's not just, hey, we need to eventually defend ourselves against Congress.
Right.
It's any level, any variety, any type of tyranny, even day-to-day tyranny. Anyway, so Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. How was your New Year's Eve? What did you guys do? Did you get anything exciting?
We just stayed together as a family at home.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, we got a dog, and dogs don't like fireworks, so we stay close to home. Very boring.
Oh. Yeah. Our dogs, well, we have two dogs. One of them cares about fireworks a little more than the other, but we were like, they'll keep each other company. They'll be fine. So we went out and went with some friends. We went and sang karaoke.
Oh, wow. What was it? What was the big song for New Year's Eve? Did you have like a...
We did Bohemian Rhapsody at the end. That was a good kumbaya. Yeah, no, I don't know. It was a variety. We did a lot of oldies and stuff, so it was fun.
So I used to have a dog. He was the best dog in the world. He was a Belgian Malinois, and he was such a gentleman and a scholar and a fine judge. He was a great guy. And he was more like a roommate. I got him when I was 21. He was more like my roommate. So I moved into this house in over by kind of sports arena area with, obviously a roommate and my dog. And I'm like, hey, this is great. Well, we were directly under the SeaWorld fireworks every freaking, I think in the summer. Yeah, in the summer. Yeah. So he was super happy about that. He eventually, everything was okay, but
he figured it out.
So, all right, New Year's resolutions. What do you got? Anything? Do we do that anymore?
I personally don't.
No?
I don't. Because for the same reason, I will never carry a firearm in a purse. I know me and I know my habits. I know I can stick to it. So why? I also know I'll leave any purse or bag on a restroom, bathroom door.
Yeah.
Therefore, I don't. It's on me or it doesn't go.
You know what you should. You know
Because
what
I know my habits.
You're right. You know what I've thought about though. You should totally try to reverse psychology of the universe.
Okay.
Like your New Year's resolution should be like to eat more fast food and try to gain weight, or you know what I mean? Like I want to, I really want to spend more money and save less. See
if you could, reverse psychology yourself into.
Like when you set your clock a few minutes ahead, thinking it'll help you to be on time.
Yeah, it never does.
No.
Never does. No. All right. Well, what's something you'd like to see? Let's maybe kind of call it a New Year's resolution. What do you want to see in the Second Amendment world or with the show for 2026? Name something that you want to see happen.
I would like to see our membership climb. Our member count getting higher. Invite your friends. Bring your friends to events. Tell them about the organization. Encourage them to support the cause. So.
Good one.
Yeah, I like that.
What do you got, Dakota? You got a New Year's resolution?
I
Doesn't have to be 2A related.
Yeah, I really don't do like legitimate resolutions, but I think I try to consider like before the holiday season, before Thanksgiving, like what do I want to end the year? Like how do I want to be as a person or like that sort of thing? Because to me, I feel like doing something well the whole year through is better than like trying to start a whole bunch of new things at the beginning of the year. Yeah. So I really was being mindful about like trying to work out and eat healthy this holiday season. And hit or miss, obviously. but I think it kind of sets me up for a better start to this year too, because I was trying to be mindful during the holidays. So I don't feel like, oh, I just like ate horribly for 2 months and now I have to get back on the bandwagon, So I don't know, kind of just continuing to try to be healthy. We worked out yesterday. We have a
I saw
gym
that
in our garage.
I saw that. You said it was the first in a while or something. Or...
Yeah, Nathan and I almost never are home at the same time, like at workout times. And so he gets home from work, or he works from home a lot. He gets home earlier when he does go to the office. So usually he's already done with his workout by the time I get home from work. So we don't get to work out together often, but we were both off work yesterday. So got to work out at the same time, which was nice. And then, yeah, just trying to be a little bit more active, I think, physically, because I do so many things where I'm sitting either like at a desk or I'm at home on the weekend working on my computer. I'm not walking around a ton. So this year, kind of, especially towards the end of the year, I was trying to be mindful about like setting reminders on my phone to just like stand up and stretch or like do some body weight squats or whatever, so that I'm just like moving a little bit. So continuing that, I'm nowhere near 10,000 steps a day, but I would like to be. So,
what is 10,000 steps? What is it, about
4
3 miles? 4 miles?
A little over 4. Yeah.
Let's round it down to 1.5.
Some days, if I'm at the office all day and I get home and I like start responding to emails, I'll check my step count. It'll be like 1,200 or something, because I'll just have walked from like my car to my building to my car. Like it's awful some days. So
I did that for a while. I had an app on my phone. I'm like, it was back, it was a few years ago now, when that first was popular. And I remember at the end of the day, I was like, this is easy. Like, what is it? 10,000 steps is no problem. Then I realized I wasn't turning it off when I got in the car and drove, right? So I'd like, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like whatever setting I needed to. So every time I got in the car and drove, it would count those miles. I'm like, that's easy. Hardly anything is 10,000 steps. I don't know. This isn't hard at all.
that's funny.
Yeah, I think my personal New Year's resolutions are all, of course, like everybody else, has to do with health and wealth.
Yeah.
Those are the big ones. But what I hope to see this year in 2026, there has to be a big move in Congress when it comes to some kind of Second Amendment policy, whether it's CCW reciprocity, which is what I'm hoping for. I think that's a big, huge, major move. Something has to happen. I mean, it has now been about a year, and we have this supposedly pro-Second Amendment administration, and they've done a lot of good things. They've done some things that are questionable. We supposedly have this pro-Second Amendment House of Representatives and Senate and court. We supposedly have this in place. Not a lot happened this past year. Not enough happened. And if they think that we're going to be happy with nothing, not bad things, if they think they can come back and say, hey, nothing bad happened and we're going to be happy about it, they're sadly mistaken. So I think we really do. I want to push some real change. I hear we're not going to talk about it in depth yet, but even at the state level, they're talking about extending the time period that CCWs are valid. Right now it's only 2 years. So they're talking about
1 to 4.
I think 3 or 4. We're not going to go into it. There's still, I think it's still too early. I don't like to talk about these bills too early because you end up like there's nothing you can do. There's no activism to be done right now. They change so wildly, so I don't really want to go too far into it. But in the show today, we are going to talk about some changes that happen for 2026, try to explain them as best we can so that you know what you can and can't do. We're going to remember a couple weeks ago, we did the story about the lady who was working at 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to interview her today, which I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah. I think it's going to be great.
Did you guys both look at her TikTok?
I did.
It's kind of
interesting.
entertaining.
Yeah.
I kinda
She's
like
funny. Yeah. I like her.
So I'm looking forward to that. And then, yeah, that's what we got. That's what we got going on with the show.
When your rights are on the line and the fight gets real, you need a lawyer who knows the deal. From gun laws to courtrooms, he'll stand by you. John Dillon fights for the red, white, and blue. John Dillon defending your rights, keeping bare arms with truth and might. From GVROs to self-defense calls, Dillon Law Group, he fights for us all. When freedom's under fire, who you gonna call? Dillon Law Group, justice for all. DillonLawGP.com.
Okay, happy New Year. Happy 2026. Or unfortunately, for a lot of gun owners in California, there is some unhappy New Year happening when it comes to your right to keep and bear arms, thanks to our best buddy, Sacramento. So we wanted to go through and talk about some of the stuff that's happening. One is AB 1263, and we want to talk about what it means for you. AB 1263 passed, takes effect January 1st, 2026. And it's already resulted in a major manufacturer pulling out of doing business in California, Geisley. Geisley makes triggers. They, by many accounts, some of the best triggers ever made. Particularly their ARs. They're known for their AR triggers. And they've decided they're not going to do business in California anymore. In fact, from a letter that they produced, it says that they are halting sales and shipping of any Geisley arms and accessories. Any sales and shipping of any Geisley arms and accessories are prohibited to residents of California. Now, I want to emphasize that AB 1263 is bad. It's really bad, and it needs to go away. And it definitely infringes, and it's horrible, and we need to undo it. And it's bad, bad, bad in every way. But it does not ban accessories. And I think Geisley is way overreacting. And the fact that they're pulling out of California and turning their backs on their customers and people that are, under the thumb of California, for whatever reason, they made that decision. I think it's wrong, and I wish Geisley would reverse it. But this is not a ban on accessories. What does it do? Well, building guns from scratch absolutely remains legal if it's done lawfully and with compliant parts. It's kind of weird. They basically said, hey, you can't build a gun illegally. Well, it's already a law. If you're doing something illegal, it's already illegal. But now it has to be done lawfully with compliant parts, licenses, and serialized components. What's really targeted here is the unlawful manufacture and distribution of files and codes, as well as, again, having to go through the proper procedure. It's now a misdemeanor to knowingly cause, assist, promote, or facilitate someone else's unlawful manufacture of firearms, which includes helping someone make guns, which would mean what they call ghost guns or home manufacturing a firearm. And I think specifically what they're talking about is unserialized, which is already illegal in California, without a license. So the other thing that they specifically talk about is assisting with manufacturing using 3D printers or CNC machines, and then the manufacturing for sale without proper licensing. What they're targeting here is they're targeting criminals who are purposely trying to, commit crime or make a firearm that is not in a legal configuration, that didn't go through the legal process, and is going to be used by a criminal for the purpose of crime. Maybe that criminal is already a prohibited person. It expanded the digital firearm manufacturing code liability. So the definition of digital code that's regulated now includes CAD and CAM files. Dakota, I think what does that mean? What's a CAD and a CAM file? Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, so CAD is computer aided design, right? Yeah, now I'm like, do I have to look up the acronym? We use CAD, AutoCAD, which is like a civil engineering. We use it for civil engineering at work all the time. So basically, it's a design software that allows you to like draw lines and polygons and all sorts of things so that you can design plans essentially. So you use CAD for almost any kind of like design work. We use it a lot in like mechanical engineering, aerospace engineering, stuff like that when you're designing like these parts and you need to be able to see them in 3D. So AutoCAD and similar software basically allow you to create these files, these design files that you could load into like a 3D printer, for example, and then that 3D printer could print the thing that you designed in CAD. And so there's a lot of, computer aided design files just out there on the interwebs for people to share with each other. Like if you have a, mag release that you don't like on your gun and you want to get a different mag release, you could print one at home on your 3D printer if you have a CAD or a CAM file that has the design for it. So this is very, very common among gun enthusiasts and people who tinker with their gear. Instead of paying a company to make you something or to buy something that they've already made, you can make your own at home with a 3D printer.
They're the blueprints for a part. If you're going to make
exactly.
a part.
It's the plans or the blueprints for printing the piece, printing the part when we're talking about manufacturing in 3D, printer space, which is kind of what this is targeting, the at-home printing of firearm parts.
A non-moving part too. It's not like you can make like you can make multiple parts and put them together, but it's not like you can make a complicated, piece of machinery that has moving parts and springs or whatever. You have to make each individual piece
And then assemble it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So yeah, you can totally, with 3D printing technology these days, you can make a firearm, but it's going to take a lot of different design files for each individual component of that machine, and then you have to build the machine. Just like if you were to buy a parts kit and build a car, or buy a parts kit and build a gun, it's the same thing. You get all the pieces, you put them together. But where I think that this law is really interesting is that it's targeting so many things that are already illegal to do. This isn't, it's already illegal to, sell a firearm to somebody who's a felon. It's already illegal to make your own gun if you're a felon. Like all these things, I'm like, yeah, that's already a crime.
They're making it illegal to do illegal things.
Yes.
Imagine that.
But the other thing is making CAD and CAM files illegal. And I'm not a constitutional attorney here, but that's not just a Second Amendment violation. That's a First Amendment violation.
Yes.
I mean, it'd be like, hey, we're going to ban, right? I mean, because it's information. It's like a book or any kind of file. It's got information in it. So that's a First Amendment violation.
Yeah, and it's not just that you can't have CAD files for a firearm itself. It's a frame, a receiver, or a firearm precursor part. There's a lot of firearm precursor parts out there.
Right.
Basically says that they're not allowing you to have CAD files for components of firearms, large capacity magazines. They're redefining kind of what digital firearm manufacturing code includes, because I think it used to just include guns. It was like frame, slide, barrel, something like that, and now it's like adding in all these other components, magazines, a bunch of other stuff too.
Okay, so what do you have to do if you want to order a part? Now that AB 1263 is passed, effective January 1st, 2026, which was last week, sellers in state and out of state must do a few things: provide clear notice that certain conduct is a crime in California, verify the age and identity before the sale of parts, accessories, or machines, match shipping address with state ID, and use adult signature delivery. So you can still do it, but in effect, there are many of the same steps that you have to go through to purchase a firearm. You now have to go through to purchase, these individual parts. Basically, you have to have an ID where and on the ID it has the address that it's being shipped to. You have to be an adult. There has to be a signature, and then there's even a notification saying, "Hey, don't do illegal stuff."
Mm-hmm.
Because
exactly.
because how many criminals are going to go, "Oh, well, I signed a piece of paper promising,
Right.
so I'm not going to do anything illegal." That's AB 1263. What else do we need to say about AB 1263? A firearm accessory now includes a broad range of parts and kits clearly intended for firearm use. So potentially we're talking about triggers, barrels, interchangeable components, tools of manufacturing.
Many people build their own ARs. This is
Yeah.
fully inconvenient
Yeah.
and wholly unnecessary.
And it's so common. Like, this is something that is happening across the country. Every single minute, somebody is downloading a CAD file to load into their 3D printer to make a part for a firearm. Like, this is a very normal part of Second Amendment. You know, if we want to talk about like history and all of that, like, this is a normal part of Second Amendment history in the United States. And with technology changing and it becoming easier and easier to do things at home with the, you know, the relative affordability of 3D printers these days, you know, this was a great way for people to do their own design work on their firearms and to make changes to their guns at home. And so this bill is really making it difficult. It's also the First Amendment violation piece. I want to kind of go back to that for a second, because this bill is basically saying that a person's violating the law because they're making it unlawful to distribute or cause to be distributed any digital firearm manufacturing code. And so basically, if I have a Reddit account and I have a CAD file and I post it to Reddit because somebody's like, hey, I have the same gun, I'm trying to do the same thing, how did you do that? That would make me a criminal.
Yeah. Isn't that ridiculous?
And this doesn't just limit digital files and 3D printing. This is even parts and things that you purchase.
Oh, yeah.
From a shop.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is not just 3D printing.
Right. Yep.
This is any portion or part, any
From a
customization that
shop.
you purchase from a shop.
You're
Even
ordering
from
a
shop.
piece for your gun, you know, through an FFL. You have to go through. You have to give them your ID.
You have to jump through the hoops. Yep.
Jump through the hoops.
Yep.
And you're right. All this is completely normal and done by law-abiding, sane, trained gun owners
Daily,
every single
regular
day.
basis. I've done it myself.
What isn't usual or normal is the requirements that they are now putting in. There is no history. There is no tradition. Certainly is no text when it comes to these requirements.
I feel this is the beginning. This is just the beginning. It's bad as it is, but I fear this is the beginning of a
trend.
baby step of what they're going to do, where they're going with more.
Well, let's talk about SB 704 because it's very
Yeah.
very similar.
And
SB
704, I think, is even
Worse.
even broader, right?
Right.
It is, and but again, it doesn't ban barrels. I want to make sure that people understand that it's not good. We don't agree with it. I'm not trying to argue semantics here. What the important thing you have to know is you can still purchase barrels until this problem is solved, until it's reversed, until we get rid of it. You need to know what you can and can't do, and hopefully it doesn't discourage you from doing what you need to do to protect yourself and exercise your Second Amendment rights. So it doesn't ban barrels. January 1st, 2026, the core new requirements related to firearm barrel transactions take effect. So boom, it's already in effect. And this includes the in-person transfer rule. July 1st, 2027, the eligibility, background check, and reporting requirements for firearm barrels go into effect. So immediately, the new requirements that we're going to talk about when you do a transaction go into effect, but you don't have to go through the eligibility and background check until July 1st, 2027. So firearm barrels must be transferred in person through a licensed dealer as if they're a firearm. So you have to go through an FFL if you're going to purchase a barrel, you have to go through an FFL. It has to be in person. Then that's January 1st, 2026. A firearm barrel that is not attached to a complete firearm may only be sold or transferred in person through a California licensed firearms dealer, an FFL. This applies to separate barrel sales. Online mail orders directly to a buyer are no longer permitted after this date.
Right.
So if you want to buy your new AR Daniel Defense barrel or whatever, it has to be shipped through an FFL.
It's essentially going to be just like ammo. It has to be shipped. There's a background check starting in July, just like your ammo background check.
Yeah, you can't legally order barrels directly to your home anymore. They have to go through an FFL.
Yep.
Private party online or mail transfer sales of barrels, Californians without an FFL, immediately becomes unlawful. So you can't just go to your buddy who you know is a firearm. He's not, ineligible. He's a law-abiding. You can't just say, "Hey, I'll pay you $100 for your barrel," and that person gives you that barrel. It has to go through an FFL now. So it, in effect, has ended private party sales of barrels.
Yeah, one of the things here too is that, it's just like ammo, it's going to be that $5 background check.
Yep.
They're going to have the ability to increase it up to $1 every year, just like ammo, just like all the other background checks. So at a certain point, we could literally be like, in 3 years, we could be paying $8 every time we want to buy a box of ammo, every time we want to buy a barrel, every time we want to do anything. So the background check piece of it is interesting to me because it's just adding to the long list of extra fees and taxes that we're being, subject to just for being law-abiding gun owners,
Yeah.
for
And one
doing
thing that's
things the legal way.
And what's important to know too is if you have not purchased a firearm in the state of California in recent history, you're not going to pass, because the background check, when they call it an eligibility check, it's not a true background check. It's basically referencing a catalog list of people who've purchased a firearm in the state of
A
California.
separate
Yeah.
database.
It's a
DOJ.
database, essentially, right? You've either purchased, you've registered, re-registered, updated the registration, had some type of activity with the registration of a firearm in the state of California. If you haven't done that, you won't pass this. So you can be a good, clean person, law-abiding, never commit a crime. You will not pass this eligibility background check to be able to purchase a barrel.
Yeah, I've even heard from a bunch of cops who
Yeah.
can't buy ammo
Right.
because they're not in that specific
Right.
database.
It's a database.
Right.
It's not a. Calling it a background check is not accurate. It's referencing a database. Is
Yeah.
all that it's doing, and you're not in the database if you've
Unless
not
you
purchased,
haven't-
registered. Right.
One of the other interesting parts about this is that you can't possess a barrel if your intention is to sell that barrel. So you can't. I don't know how they're going to determine that. Like that's a pretty high. Like how are you going to tell?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to sell it.
Well, and
but
also-
apparently, if you have 10 barrels lying in your closet with price tags on them, and they overhear you say, "Gee, I really want to sell these barrels," that's illegal. I thought the intention part of it is kind of
It's
ridiculous.
so hard to prove intent. So this is just another unenforceable law. But isn't this like blocking commerce? Aren't there laws about that? Aren't you allowed to buy and sell things as an American?
Well, they should be. I mean, part of the federal government, the federal government has become so overreaching, and maybe this is a little too, broad, but the point of the federal government was not to regulate commerce. The point of the federal government was to make sure that each state could conduct commerce with each other. And a few decades ago, they decided, hey, if it's commerce, then the federal government can restrict it. That's not what they were supposed to do. They weren't supposed to be putting up roadblocks.
Right.
They were supposed to be building freeways, literally and figuratively freeways,
Right.
so that West Virginia and Virginia can do business with each other, so that Maryland and California can do business with each other, and there aren't, blocks to that. We were supposed to be one economy, but instead they've used it the total opposite.
Yeah.
In far too many cases.
Well, and I understand saying like if you can't purchase a barrel with the intent to sell it to a felon, like sure, okay, hard to prove, but sure. But this is you can't purchase a barrel with the intent to sell it ever
To anybody.
Well, what if I'm making my gun
Right.
nicer before I sell it because I want better price for it because
Yeah.
I'm already planning on selling it and I'm trying to fix it up before I put it's just
And again,
craziness.
like, what are they going to wait? It's almost like what are they going to find your diary? Dear diary.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I really want to sell barrels.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
aha, we got you.
Ridiculous.
Okay, let's talk about July 1st, 2027, the eligibility checks and transaction reporting. So this starts July 1st, 2027, if we even get that far with this law. Beginning July 1st, 2027, licensed dealers must do a few things. They have to conduct a DOJ eligibility background check on every buyer of a separate firearm barrel, similar to the existing firearm eligibility checks that are already in place. That's number one.
Right.
Number two, record and submit detailed information on the transaction to the California Department of Justice, including the buyer's ID, their address, the make, model, and caliber of the barrel. And then I think some additional information, but they were real specific on that.
Yeah, because we can totally trust the DOJ with our personal information. Like they haven't totally leaked all of our all CCWers' home addresses got leaked by the DOJ, and now we're giving them more information
More than
because they're
once.
so trustworthy.
More than once.
Exactly. And the final that they spell out here is they're going to charge an up to $5 fee for each eligibility check, subject to adjustment, which means
Yearly.
that they're going to gouge the hell out of you.
Yeah, like $1 a year forever, basically. Hey. And that's not it. There's more.
There's more.
But wait.
Okay, so we just went over. So just to recap real quick, we went over AB 1263 that talks about firearms accessories. We went over SB 704, which talks about barrels, and now this is AB 1078. And there's a lot to 1078. The first piece of it is that they are now going to try to limit your firearm purchases to 3 every 30 minutes or every 30 days.
30 minutes.
Wishful thinking. Starting April 1st, 2026, Californians will be limited to purchasing or applying to purchase no more than 3 firearms with a 30-day period, including frames, receivers, and qualifiers. This replaces the older 1 gun and 30 limit that was struck down by the court. Now that was our lawsuit. The 1 and 30 Nguyen case was the only lawsuit in the Ninth Circuit that has actually challenged a firearms law and struck it down. That's the only one ever, period. So I think part of the reason that they didn't fight harder is they saw that this 3 and 30 was coming. But the reality is, if you look at the decision in the 1 and 30, it's not going to last. You know, they basically said, hey, it doesn't matter if it's 1 and 30, 3 and 30. The idea that you're limiting, that you're rationing somebody's right to keep and bear arms is unconstitutional. That's the Ninth Circuit's decision. They decided that. You still got to fight it, though. Everybody, oh, well, that's easy. That's a slam dunk. Going to court is always expensive. It's always a crapshoot. So a piece of that is 3 and 30. But you don't have to worry about that quite yet. Wait till April 1st, 2026. And I'm sure that's going to give a lot of people, a lot of organizations like FPC and SAF and all the, GOC and everybody, that's going to give them time to respond. So sit tight with that. But in the long run, the 3 and 30 is probably not going to stand. So that's one piece of AB 1078. It also includes changes to CCW licensing, specifically the
Quite a few
process.
changes. Yep.
You want to go over those?
Sure.
Go for it.
So effective January 1st, 2026, the bill modifies concealed carry permit rules across multiple areas, and these are big. Licensing authorities cannot issue or renew a CCW if the applicant has been convicted of certain specified offenses, which includes even out-of-state or in federal crimes with comparable elements within the last 10 years, has an unlawful user or addicted or is addicted to a controlled substance, is an unlawful user or or is addicted to a controlled substance. Not a big deal on that one. That's already kind of been a thing. Has been subject to a restraining order. Hell, you know what? Let's scrap this and start over because this sucks.
You want to start over? Okay. Alicia, why don't you talk about the changes to the CCW licensing process that are in effect now that AB 1078?
Sure. Starting January 1st, 2026, the bill modifies the CCW permit rules throughout the state, and this is universal throughout all of California. The licensing authority cannot issue or renew a CCW if you've ever been convicted of a certain specified list of offenses within the last 10 years, if you're an unlawful user or addicted to a controlled substance, or if you've been subject to restraining order or protective order, unless it's been expired or has been vacated. So,
are those even big changes? To be honest, with you?
This particular group here is not, but there's more coming as far as CCW impact.
They're just
those are not
codifying
big.
what already. Okay, go ahead. All right.
So there's additional categories of past conduct which can now prohibit or make someone not eligible for a CCW. And those are going to be some convictions for even circumstances outside of California. Applicants and renewals must truthfully provide all required information. Providing false or incomplete answers can now bar an issuance or trigger a revocation of a CCW. And this is a big one. I cannot tell you how many people go to their interview. You know, that clerk sits there with you when you go to your interview and make sure that your application is complete. Starting January 1st, if you now omit, it's not that a lot of people, I know when I did my application, I actually pulled a DMV report because I don't want to miss a ticket or an interaction that I have with law enforcement that I don't want to miss. I don't want to omit something by mistake. You omit something now, that becomes a lifetime ban to a CCW.
Well,
even if it's not purposeful.
it's so subjective.
It is.
And I know so many people, and there's even, I remember there's one question on the application. I'm not gonna get it totally right, but it's something like, "Is there anything else we need to know?"
Right,
you know,
right.
and it's like, well, I don't know. You tell me what you need to know, and if you didn't tell them something else they needed to know, then they're saying, well, you lied. You lied about something that we needed to know. So it's so subjective that it's been abused. It's so widespread. You know, it's kind of this gotcha. Which is a real danger. So being able to pull your license or restrict your license
And ban you for life.
or prevent your license is a big deal.
Big deal. And now this is not totally new here, but the issuing agency does require you to report any new arrests, charges, convictions, or restraining orders to the issuing agency. Failure to do so in a timely manner can also be means to pull your permit, which that's not a huge change or a big deal either, but it's just something that a lot of people may not be aware of, is that if you violate any of these conditions, as far as reporting, that's a problem. You know, a lot of people think, well, they're going to know that I got arrested. Well, you have an obligation to report it. That's
A lot of
important to know.
a lot of this is kind of codifying what already kind of exists. It's not good. We certainly don't support it. We don't like it, but just to kind of clarify. There are some things about non-resident CCWs, because recently a court case is forcing California to issue CCWs
Non-resident.
to non-California residents. There are a couple of those. I don't know if we need to get, they basically, there's a couple of requirements when it comes to non-resident. A test under oath that the county is their primary location of travel or intended stay in California, and complete required training, including live fire for each firearm listed. Okay, so if you're going to apply for a California license and you're not a California resident, then you have to have some kind of connection to the county where you're applying. Gotcha. What about the training and psychological assessment?
So starting in September, they've put it in AB 1078, and it's written in kind of a loose gray way to where I think a lot of issuing agencies could choose to follow through with this. They can require a psychological assessment. It's written in there that if they feel it's necessary, that they can.
Well, in some California issuing agent authorities are already requiring it, and I've heard from a lot of people that it is a pain in the butt. It's a hard process and it's expensive.
Not only that, but it's important to emphasize that they use the term psychological assessment.
It's not really what it is.
It's not really what it is.
I've gone
It's
through
like a
this test.
personality
It
test
is
almost.
100% a personality test. In fact, personality is in the title of this. It's the Minnesota, I forget, maybe someone could look it up for me real quick, but it's the MMPMM or something like that. One of the P's in the title is personality, and I actually got into it with the chief of police up in Marietta, who said, "Oh, no, it's not a personality test," because what happened was in Riverside County, a lot of the police stations, a lot of police chiefs started issuing because the sheriff wouldn't. So, but they're being really restrictive and didn't change with the times.
Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory.
There you go. So I pointed out, I said, "Hey, this is a personality test." And the chief of police up there said, "No, it's not a personality test. That's ridiculous." And I pointed out that one of the P's actually stands for personality, proving that he knows what he's talking about. So this isn't a determination of whether or not you're crazy.
No.
They don't, and that's what they're trying to pass this off as. We want to make sure that the person's not, mentally unstable or whatever. That's not what this does.
Yeah. Well, and do we really have evidence that this test has anything to do with being able to accurately predict whether or not someone is a sociopath or a psychopath?
Zero.
No, there's no evidence of that at all. So you're just wasting people's time, making
And
them
money.
spend money, transporting, they have to transport themselves to this thing. They have to find childcare. They have, it's really only impacting those who are, not living high and lofty, right? People who don't maybe have the means that others have, similar to Chicago making laws that were so difficult for the normal Chicago residents to follow because of, how difficult it is for them to get transportation and pay all of these fees. Very similar to that, but I think one of that out-of-state resident things says specifically that they have to find a psychiatrist, that the state has to tell them, here's a psychiatrist within 75 miles of your residence. 75 miles is huge.
Jeez.
That's crazy. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, they are also doing some kind of an online thing where non-residents can call in and do like an audio video Zoom session with somebody in California instead. But they're going to have to pay for that.
But again, no history, no tradition, no text.
No.
When it comes to requiring
And no
this.
evidence that this would actually help or fix any of the gun-related problems that, these laws are supposedly trying to fix.
So there's a couple other things. One is that it officially reverses the 1 and 30 and replaces it with the 3 and 30. We already pretty much covered that and talked about it. Then another piece of this is the restoration of firearm rights after certain out-of-state convictions. So this bill, now law, clarifies that individuals with non-violent out-of-state felony convictions that have been dismissed, vacated, expunged, or pardoned, and whose convictions did not involve weapons may regain firearms rights under state law. So this can actually expand firearm rights and help restore firearm rights for some people with past convictions outside of California. I don't know if that's enough of a bright side
No.
to offset. I mean, this bill sucks. This law sucks. Sacramento sucks. Everybody that voted for this sucks.
One big part of CCW too that we didn't discuss yet that came out of this is that if you fail to renew your CCW when you go more than 90 days expired, you have to start your process all over again.
Yeah.
Which means instead of your 8-hour renewal you could have done, you now have to take a 16-hour initial course. You have to pay all those initial fees, the livescan up front as well, and all of those things. So
It used to be that every issuing agency could decide how long they
Right.
were going to allow people to be expired, but now the
California
government is
says no
telling
more-
them
no more than 90 days.
is the limit.
Yeah, the reality of this, most of this isn't going to apply to most people. It
The
still
renewal-
sucks.
this will.
But this will. This
Yeah.
applies to every CCW holder and really,
Correct.
truly could have a negative impact.
And there's also talk of a live scan requirement for renewal starting in September. So
I
if you
saw
renew
that.
after September, you now have to live scan with every renewal as well.
So that
Out of AB 1078.
That is, I'm being told by people who know that is going to happen. I haven't talked about it yet. We will, but I'm pretty. It's being told to me by people who know that is absolutely going to happen. Unfortunately. All right, so there you go. Those are some of the laws that passed that have to do with firearms. What do? Well, the thing you have to do is it's the beginning of the year. And one of the things I like to do at the beginning of the year is renew memberships for different organizations. I got to tell you, I get asked all the time, not so much anymore. I think there's really been an attitude adjustment for gun owners that, they used to kind of pick their favorite Second Amendment organizations like they'd pick their favorite baseball team or their favorite football team or whatever. And I think everybody's realizing that we're all on the same page. We're all marching to the beat of the same drummer for the most part, particularly now that NRA has really turned a corner and changed leadership and they're doing great things. So I don't have anything bad to say about any Second Amendment organization. So join, if they're doing good things for the Second Amendment, I say join them. But I got to tell you, I think you have to be a member of the bigs, NRA, Second Amendment Foundation, Firearms Policy Coalition, Gun Owners of America. I think you have to be a member of those. In California, Gun Owners of California, CRPA, and then we would be honored if you'd be a member of San Diego County Gun Owners. I really think that we should all sit down and write a check. These aren't big membership fees. Certainly, if you sit down and join, half a dozen of these organizations, they're all doing slightly different things. They have slightly different emphasis, but they're all fighting for your rights in ways that are effective. Sometimes that's a lawsuit. Sometimes that's lobbying. Sometimes that's activism. Sometimes it's all of the above. So I would invite you to spend 10 minutes, go online or write a check, pick your favorite 10 and write the check. It's January. It's not going to change your financial situation to join, these organizations and help them do what they need to do in order to right the ship and change things. And if you're out of state, I got to tell you, if you're in a pro Second Amendment state, if you're happy with your state's lack of gun laws, then it's even more important for you to write a check to these even state organizations in a state where you're not a member, because we're doing the work to make sure that this stuff doesn't get to you, that it gets reversed, that we're actually standing here fighting against it so that it doesn't reach you. So if you're in San Diego, join San Diego County Gun Owners, join all the state organizations, join the federal. If you're in California, join all the California organizations, join the federal, national level organizations. But no matter where you are in the country, join these organizations. Get involved. Don't just write a check, but if that's all you can do, then write the check. But also get involved, which means going to a meeting, contacting, doing things that a volunteer needs to do, and help us. If we had as much participation and engagement as other political subjects do, you name it, you name the hot button, whatever it is, whether it has to do with taxes or immigration or whatever, if we had as much engagement and we had as much commitment from the folks who care about Second Amendment as these other groups did, we would be completely and totally unstoppable. The reality is these laws are being put in place because gun owners are ignoring the power that they have to make a difference. If you just join the groups, that's an enormous step forward. If you join the groups and dedicate some time, once a month, once a quarter, then, that's a huge difference. But right now, there are so few people that are engaged. There are so few gun owners who, write the check or, join the organizations, that we don't have the resources, we don't have the reach to really truly be the powerhouse that we should be. If just, half the people who are gun owners in this country and care about the Second Amendment stepped up and joined these groups, we'd have like 10 times the amount of resources, 10 times the number of activists that can show up. There's a lot of things we can do to be effective. And frankly, we have the numbers. We just need people to decide to commit to be, part of the solution. So there you go. Have a happy new year, 2026. Stay tuned to Gun Owners Radio. We'll keep talking about all this stuff. So thanks for listening. So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about a story that happened in Oklahoma with a woman named Stephanie Dilyard, who was working at a 7-Eleven. She was attacked and she defended herself and unfortunately lost her job because of it. So we promoted the GoFundMe and talked about the story and tried to basically get as much information as we had out there. We're very happy that we were able to connect with Stephanie, and now we're going to interview her and hear about exactly what happened right from the source. So, Stephanie, how are you? Thank you for coming on the show.
I am doing good. Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I got to tell you, the story when I came across it about you and what happened was like a roller coaster of emotions, which I'm sure it was for you as well. I was so happy that you were able to defend yourself, that you were able to make sure that you were safe, during an attack. I was so frustrated that you were attacked, and I was so mad that you got fired from 7-Eleven, one of my favorite stores, used to be my favorite store. And so I get it, it's just amazing. Before we talk about the details of the story, like what was it like for you going through it? I mean, just reading about it was an emotional roller coaster for me. What was it like for you going through it?
The main thing was, even with police surrounding me right after the event and everything, the main thing going through my head was, I'm about to lose my job. But it was also, do I lose my job or do I lose my life? Just trying to, is really, really fearful of, just thinking right away, how am I going to get a new job? What's available? They took my phone and everything away. I'm just sitting in the back of a squad car with my thoughts, and all I had to, it was just, man, life has to go on, and I still have responsibilities.
That's going through your head in the squad car.
Mm-hmm.
You just defended your life, and that's what's going through your head in the squad car.
Yeah.
How were you treated by police officers? Were they were they generally polite and said, "Hey, this is clearly the victim," or what was the general attitude of the police towards you during?
Well,
After the incident?
I had actually known these police officers about as long as I had worked at the job. They were
Oh, wow.
the same ones that respond to all the calls that I make. So, we know each other by name, familiar. At first, they thought I was the one that was hurt. The guy had already taken off, left the property. I set my gun down, and when I was still on phone with the dispatch, so it was actually Officer Welton first responded, and he arrived within 4 minutes.
Wow.
I was still on the phone with dispatch, so I was able to time it. But yeah, he arrived on scene within 4 minutes, and right away he was checking on me, make sure I was okay, because he thought that I was the one that was hurt at first.
Oh, good. So they were good to you. They knew you. They were good to you. They probably stopped there for coffee and I'm guessing a donut, right? They're cops. I'm guessing they stopped for coffee and a donut. That's what they do, right? I mean, so they cared about you and they treated you well. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I've even before me going to the headquarters for the questionings and their little interview part, I'm sitting surrounded by paramedics, and Officer Arbelays comes in, goes through everybody, just gives me a quick fist bump, and walks off. And this is before all the questionings, and I still had my phone taken away and stuff too.
One thing I heard you mention that I just want to go back to really quick. You mentioned that the same officers typically respond to all of the calls you make. What kind of calls have you had to make at your time working at 7-Eleven? Like, what are the typical things that you need police response for?
Normally it's theft or people that don't want to leave the property. Both. People will steal and not want to leave. There's been a few times where there's been some altercations. I was actually pushed by another gentleman that same week before that. And I say gentleman because he was a regular and he was just drunk at that time. And, just was having a rough night, and, I ended up being the crap end of the stick. So, but once he pushed me, I had to call the police and they responded. Normally if there's like a petty theft, they'll do a report over the phone. But when people don't want to leave the property, we have to try and get a trespass, and they have to be caught on the property to get that trespass. So a lot of times, I'm not even debating with somebody. I ask you to leave. If you don't, I'm calling police.
Wow.
So I call often.
So the guy that attacked you, let's talk about the details. Was that the first time you'd ever seen him, or had he been in the store before?
That was the first time I've seen him. He came in with a regular, but first time I've seen him.
And first off, can you describe him? Did he look totally normal? Did he look like he may have been like a homeless guy? Was he inebriated? Or just give us a description of him and his demeanor.
Crackhead.
Oh, really? Okay.
Speaker.
That pretty much.
On hard drugs.
Oh, wow.
On hard drugs, for sure.
Older guy, younger guy?
Older. Older grandpa.
So the regular that
Wow.
you said
Sorry.
he came in with a regular. Have you had any communication with this regular since? Has he had any input any comments?
No, she was actually a female. Same thing. She's on hard drugs, and it's an obvious thing, but she was one of those that just came in, got what she wanted, and left. Chit chat a little bit too much, but no issues altogether. So I did have a little bit of, honestly, part of my guard was down, because with it being regulars, if I know you well enough that you're not going to cause problems, I'm gonna, just do my job.
So it felt kind of like the attack came out of nowhere. You weren't really expecting it from that particular person.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't think that that would be the company that that particular regular would bring around.
So how did it happen? He came in. I mean, by the way, if he's a crackhead, we're obviously not going to make sense of his actions. So
Yeah.
there's no ability. We can't like understand like, oh, okay, that's why he did that. No, he's a crackhead. But walk us through like what happened. How did it escalate to that, or did it just come out of nowhere? Or just kind of walk us through what happened.
It was, so he wanted to purchase a few snacks, and it was when he gave me the $100 bill, and I checked it for 2 minutes. For almost 2 minutes, I was checking the bill. I tried to straighten it out. We have a machine that we put it through. I used the pen. It was just wrong in all ways. And I still, in my head too, I do know that, if I think somebody is on some kind of drugs, I have to be careful about how I move, because any little thing, I don't want to trigger the wrong reaction. So, I'm making sure that I'm taking my time to check it. And I knew it was off right away, but I want to make sure he also seen me check it. I told him it wasn't right, and I wasn't going to be able to give it back to him. And, if he has another form of payment.
So crackhead handed you what you're pretty positive was a fake $100 bill, which by
Detectives,
the way,
detectives even told me afterwards that it was fake.
it was fake. Yeah, I mean, if a crackhead hands you a $100 bill, you
And he was
immediately
actually
should
trying
be
to do that
suspicious.
before too.
And so you said, hey, you know what? This is a fake bill. I know. I used to work in banking. Somebody tries to pull that, you got to keep it. You can't give that back, So what did he do when you said, hey, this is fake and you're not getting it back? What was his reaction?
He said he started getting a little bit irritated at that point. He was like, I want it back. You're not going to tell me. He said, I just cashed that. I just cashed it. It was a check. I just got paid. I cashed it from the bank. I need it back. You're going to give me my money back. That's my hard-earned money. And I told him, I can give it back to you, but regardless, I still have to call the police. He started moving around the counter to the other register. And he wasn't trying to get behind at this point. He was just going to the other. I had moved because I noticed he was being agitated. And another thing I'm really concerned about is being at arm distance away. If just staying enough away so they can't just reach and grab me.
Right.
And then there's a silent alarm at that register. So I'm over there and I pull out my phone about to call. He comes to that register. So I move back to my old register that I was checking him out at. And that's when he says, I'm going to come around and I'm going to slice your head off. And I'm pressing the silent alarm and having my phone in my hand at the same time. So the silent alarm is whatever. I don't care. The silent alarm is underneath the register.
Right.
And if, but we have to hold it down for a certain amount of seconds before it actually transmits through. Mm-hmm. So I'm having to sit in the same spot and also calling 911. He grabs the stuff that he wanted. It was already bagged. He grabbed it and started throwing it at me. So I back up. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. I actually missed a spot. Missed a part. He reaches over and I don't know if he was trying to grab the bill or my phone, but he tried to grab it and he grabs my arm. So I quickly swing at him. He backs up. I back up. That's when he grabs the bags and throws them at me. And I got I think it was burritos, some frozen burritos thrown at me.
Which,
So
by
I
the way,
broke-
throwing a burrito in Oklahoma, and it may not be that big a deal. In San Diego, that is capital punishment. You do
crime.
not throw a burrito. You have the utmost respect for a burrito here in San Diego. So I can't
oh
even.
my gosh.
I mean, Oklahoma throwing a burrito, you know, I mean, what a low life. So anyway, go ahead. I apologize.
So yeah, and then at that point it's just gotten too far, and in my head it's like get to the office. Most of our stuff is broken, so the only thing to lock the office is a wooden thing.
Like a
You
piece
know?
of, yeah, like a 2x4 kind of thing.
Yeah, and put a few of those up against the door. So my head is like, run to the office. That way I can call the police. The store. He's just gonna get what he wants. But I was too slow. I was almost out of the way of the counter space, but he came in through the other side, and that's when he grabbed me by my throat.
Jeez. Like both hands grabbed you by the throat?
It seemed like it felt at first he had it all the way around, but I'm also small.
Yeah.
So he grabbed me. It was from front and from the back.
Which
That's
must
how
have
he
been,
had.
that must have been terrifying.
Yeah. And then I'm 5'2", barely 120 pounds. He's according to his mugshot, he's 245 pounds, 6 foot.
Jeez.
Wow.
So it
with like crackhead strength too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like no regard for what he's doing. I mean, I would imagine that was unnerving and extremely unpleasant.
Yeah, he and at that point it was like he got me. This is it. This is he has me, and I don't even like to be touched, especially at work. Don't try to give me a handshake or any of that. And yeah, it's, oh my gosh, it was like it was like surrounding. It was like all I could see was him, and yes, he pushed me out of the register area, and there's this open case that's refrigerated that holds the sandwiches, burritos, and stuff like that. My shoulder hit that and it moved while he pushed me against it. And then I got into this little space in between that and another table. And that moment right there is when I pulled out my gun and shot him.
Jeez.
Sitting in the
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sitting in the room with the detectives, they asked me to replay it, and I still can't even explain because I still had my phone in my hand. I had misdialed 911 because while he grabbed me earlier, I dialed pound 911 and it wasn't going through. And afterwards, I realized, like, it just took one shot. He said, "Oh, she shot me," and he ran out the door. And I don't even remember how I was able to have my phone try to push him off of me, and I still was able to take it out, load it, bang. And take it off safety, load it, bang. That it was all just really fast.
Do you remember, like, do you remember the sound? Do you remember the feeling? Do you remember, like, actually making the decision, I have to take my gun out and shoot this guy?
That at that point was when he grabbed me. I know realistically, me against any man is not, even with the best training in the world, and then also too, I was thinking, don't let him take you on the ground.
Yeah.
Because once you're on the ground, it's over.
Yeah.
I've looked up different stuff and trying to get different kinds of training, but so many people tell you, you got a little female up against a big man, it's, 9 times out of 10, the man's going to win.
Yeah. 100%. You mentioned that you pulled it out. So talk a little bit about like how were you carrying the gun? Where was it? And then you also mentioned that you loaded it. So like, did you have a magazine in it and you just had to, rack the
just
slide to
chamber?
chamber around, or what was that process?
Yes. So I had the waistband holster. The inside holster that would clip to my pants.
Mm-hmm.
That's too heavy and it would pull down my pants. So I got the waistband holster, and then I would always wear big clothes so nobody would know that I have it on me.
Yeah.
And then that's because our rules for 7-Eleven. And then I did keep the magazine in it, and I put it on safety. That's just a habit of mine. I have kids in the home, and before I would leave work, I would actually practice. If I'm, if I end up being in a corner or anything that where I do need to use it, that, I'm able to just get it out real quick, and I would practice that a few times before leaving the home. Everybody would be asleep. So
What kind of firearm is it? What were you carrying?
it was an old gun. It was a Jimenez arms.
Oh, wow.
What do you carry now? Do you still carry that?
I still carry it.
You still carry it?
Yeah.
Okay. I think what we're going to do is I still want to hear a lot more details, but I think what we're going to do is I think we're going to buy her a what's the holster that you
It sounds like a belly band is what you.
No, but what's the one that you like? And
Oh, the Enigma.
Yeah.
the Enigma. I think we're
The
going
Enigma holster.
we're going to send you a holster to try and see if you like it. And then, have you taken a lot of classes and training? Has there been a lot of opportunities for you to take training there in Oklahoma?
No.
Okay, we're gonna find a trainer, and Gun Owners Radio is gonna give you I'm gonna say a 2-day class and a holster, and we'll get that arranged off the air and everything. But we're gonna help you get equipped and taken care of.
Thank you.
Are you near Oklahoma City?
Yes.
Okay. I know a guy.
You know a guy?
Yeah,
Great.
I know a really
all
good
right.
instructor.
We're wheeling and dealing here. And so how did you, tell us about your background, or tell us about your journey into, carrying a firearm. Was that, how did you come to the conclusion that you wanted to start carrying a firearm?
That was actually because of 7-Eleven.
So you started working at 7-Eleven and you were like, I need a gun.
Yeah. Well, Oklahoma, almost everybody owns a gun, but I had other alternatives of self-defense. I had pepper spray, blades and such. Now it was
You had pepper spray and blades, as you said, like a knife you're carrying for self-defense?
Yeah, self-defense knife. One of those small ones that you can carry legally.
Mm-hmm. But then, so tell us about, like, when did you talk to somebody like, hey, I need to get a gun. What do you recommend? Or tell us about that journey.
That was actually, it was a last minute decision. I'm not going to lie. My mother-in-law had one, and we did the bill of sale and getting it all registered and everything. It was about a year prior. It was October 2024. 5 minutes from my house, another female, she was stabbed and killed over $17.
Jeez.
He got the money, and he asked her, do you believe in God? She said yes. He stabbed her. The security alarms, the silent alarms, they failed. She did everything she was supposed to do, followed all the rules, and with it being overnight, her by herself, the next customer didn't come in until 45 minutes later, and she was already gone.
Wow.
She was alone.
So that story inspired you, like, hey, I got to do something?
Yes. And I did ask. I asked for a while, what changes are going to be made.
At 7-Eleven?
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't, what was their response?
It was nothing. They lied to us at first. They didn't tell us it was a robbery. Management told us that it was her boyfriend.
Wow.
They blamed it on domestic violence because and then the news was the one who showed they told the truth. And that's when I was like, oh, you guys lied to me. You know, you guys obviously don't care. You know, and then even then, if it was a domestic violence situation, that's still your employee. The man that murdered her, he wasn't even caught until about a week later. 7-Eleven offered $10,000 to the to anybody that could help them find the guy. Offered no money to the family.
Jeez. Now,
And management
go ahead.
management told us it was because she didn't have 7-Eleven insurance.
Now, how did 7-Eleven let you know that you were fired? What did they do to let you know that, hey, you're not going to work here anymore after defending your life?
It was an HR phone call.
HR just called you, and do you remember what the conversation was?
First was on Friday. They asked me about, you know, the situation, and I told them. I didn't go into detail, but they wanted me to, and I said, you know what, you have the cameras, you know, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I defended myself. I used self-defense, and they were like, "How'd you do that?"
Yeah.
You know, it was, and then they did offer me medical to see the doctor and everything because I hurt my finger. My finger got grazed in the process, and they offered me medical help. I did not accept it, and then they said they would give me a call Monday. I waited all weekend. During that time, nobody was able to talk to me or tell me anything. Monday morning, they call me and they tell me that they were going to separate from employment. Okay.
So they called you and said they were going to separate you from employment with 7-Eleven.
Yes.
Was it entirely based on the firearm? Was that the reason they said, hey, you're not allowed to carry firearms, or what was the reason they gave?
Yes. They did not specify the policy, but they said it was violation of policy.
Have you seen in their manual, does it say you can or can't carry? Does it mention firearms at all in the 7-Eleven?
They give us online classes, and they tell us that we can't have any kind of self-defense stuff with us. No pepper spray,
Oh my
no
goodness.
guns.
But they don't offer any security to help you.
They say we're supposed to stand an arm distance away, use the silent alarm, call the police, give them what they want.
Wow. If you had accepted the fake bill, is there a chance that your job would have been terminated, that you would have been fired?
Yes. It
Okay.
was anything over 100 or I believe $99
Or more, they
anything.
can fire you for it.
Yes.
Okay, so they want you to stay an arm's distance away, use the silent alarm, give them what they want, but also they'll fire you if you let them get away with what he was trying to get away with.
Or if you defend yourself, they'll fire you.
Right.
And
Seems
they
like
won't
there's
give
no
you any
way to
security.
win.
Yeah.
It's a no-win.
It's ridiculous. This is why 7-Eleven used to be my favorite restaurant.
A restaurant.
A restaurant.
Used to be. Michael.
They were my favorite restaurant.
Oh my
The
god.
Red Hot Tacos.
That's right. And the sushi. I love the sushi and the egg salad
Is
sandwiches.
this for real? I can't.
Oh, it's not that fancy here.
They what? You don't have that kind of stuff there? There's
We
no
don't have
sushi?
sushi.
Well, I guess it's because we're close to the ocean. They get a nice, fresh selection of sushi at
I
7-Eleven.
doubt it's fresh. No, but in all seriousness, I think a lot of us who try to put our money where our mouth is and spend money in places that support our rights and stuff. I've seen a lot of comments online that people are going to boycott 7-Eleven over the way that they treated you, and it's just even worse hearing the full story from you that the office door was broken. It wouldn't even lock. You had to use a 2x4. The silent alarm malfunctioned for that other employee who lost her life. It sounds like for a company who's telling you that you can't defend yourself, they're really not doing their fair share to try to give you the best opportunities, that you have to keep yourself safe. So it's really awful to hear how poorly they treat their employees and how disposable you guys are to them.
And I had to go back to the same store to get my car and my my purse. And while on the way back, my manager at that time was telling me that she asked me one time if I was okay. And then right after that, 7 times in a row, she was telling me not to talk to the news because 7-Eleven wouldn't like it.
Well, 7-Eleven was going to fire you anyway, right? So
Yeah.
what's the, yeah, I'm glad you're talking to us.
What's unfortunate is it's not uncommon for employers to have a policy against firearms. And the part that really pissed me off about your story is that they actually followed through with what was in their clauses.
Yeah, they didn't have to
many. It's not uncommon. Many employers do have these no weapons policies, but they also had a choice. Do we choose to enforce it? Do we choose to be a stand-up company, or do we choose to not? And they chose wrong.
Yeah.
They chose wrong.
So there was a GoFundMe that was set up. We promoted it in the last segment a couple weeks ago, and we're going to promote it again. So, I know you're going through a lot. So anybody out there who's generous, could you consider giving a couple of bucks to the GoFundMe? But then also, I understand you had somebody reached out to you regarding some legislation. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes. Jeremy, I'm sorry if I say his last name wrong. Bernard.
Okay. Yeah.
He reached out to me and while the story was getting some major circulation, and he's trying to get a bill passed through the state legislation on requiring companies that have employees working with the general public that they're able to carry or have armed security, making it. I'm sorry, I don't know the word for it.
That's okay.
Yeah,
So,
like making it a bill, right, or a law.
Making them
That-
responsible
Yes.
should they choose to not allow you to defend yourself, that they are going to take appropriate steps.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I think that totally makes sense. And I think that there's, a lot of different states who have different kinds of policies about gun-free areas and things like that. And that's one of the things, even here in California that we're trying to change is that if a business or the government themselves is going to say you can't carry a gun in this place, then they sure as heck better be willing to defend me for me. If they're not going to let me defend me, then they need to have somebody there that's going to defend me. So yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And is that's coming out of your story, or is that something he's been working on for a while?
This was actually something he was working on beforehand. I've been kind of helping any little way that I can, but he has all of, he's taken the reins on that. He's the one that drafted up the bill and knows everybody to try and contact and reach out to.
Awesome.
I'm just letting him know, how can I help? Because he's like, hey, the story would be perfect, to be an example of why we need the bill passed. And I totally agree. As how I was thinking, 7-Eleven didn't want to listen to me. I'm not going to listen to them, but it doesn't have to stop at 7-Eleven.
Right.
There's hospital workers, there's Uber drivers, and, so many other careers and jobs that, people are, nowadays it's really dangerous, especially in this area here. So, you just never know. And with you having to accept everybody to come in through the door, you're putting yourself at risk. And most people aren't thinking like that. But unfortunately, with these kind of jobs, that's the mindset now. You have to always stay aware.
have you been able to find? Have you found a new job? Or are you still looking?
I've had a couple offers. I haven't actually looked into any jobs yet. Just really taking time. And then this happened right before Thanksgiving too. So I've been focused on making sure the holidays straight here any way I can.
By the way, I like your TikTok a lot. Your videos are funny. They're entertaining. I'm positive I'm your key demographic, 49-year-old white guy. But in any case, it's very entertaining. You're very engaging and very personable and very creative. I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you. It's mostly crap talk.
Yeah, that's what I like.
I like to crap talk a lot, you know.
That's what makes it entertaining, though. So we appreciate that. Yeah, I was in New Mexico not that long ago, and I noticed in Albuquerque, almost every business you walk into, whether it's like a, CVS, Walgreens kind of thing, or like a gas station, a lot of them have armed security guards at the door with like AR-15s. Like it's very well, I think Albuquerque's a pretty dangerous place. I think Oklahoma City is also, there's pockets of it that are pretty dangerous. But I just did a quick Google to see if any 7-Eleven locations have armed security, and it sounds like Albuquerque does have some 7-Elevens that have armed security. So I wonder what the threshold is. It's interesting.
I'm thinking money, or how the corporations are. There's a few 7-Elevens that are still franchise. Here in Oklahoma State, we used to be franchised. A couple years ago, it was bought out by the corporation in Dallas. So lately there has been a lot of changes versus rules, how we do things, even where our food comes from, what we sell. A lot of things have been changing, but they're I don't know. It's like what you had said earlier, that they pick and choose what to enforce. So
well, and it sounds like probably they care a lot more about loss of profit and loss of merchandise than they care about their employees' lives, especially considering how the prior 7-Eleven employee was killed and your management was lying to you about it. So I think clearly there's a lack of care for human life, that probably starts up at the top. So it's really unfortunate. I'm interested to see if 7-Eleven ever comes out and says anything.
Yeah, because you guys just lost yourself a customer, 7-Eleven. I'm going to find myself another restaurant to frequent. So what do you hope people take away from your story? Anybody out there that hears your story, what do you hope they learn from it?
You have to always choose yourself. Don't let the job drain you, take advantage of you, put you in harm's way. Always choose yourself first versus the job.
Good for you. That's a good message. How have you received feedback from friends, family, or strangers? Have people been supportive, or how has that gone?
Oh, I've been boasting about this. I made it on World Star. My generation, World Star. And
I don't know what World Star is. I'm a little lost. What you made it on World Star? Is that what you said?
World Star.
What is World Star?
I'm Googling it right now.
It's like if you had a crazy fight or some crazy video and it was really worth it, like a street fight or some wild stuff, then you made it on World Star, and a lot of people recording it. They'll they'll have their phones up and they'll be World Star, and you hear them in the background. This is before it was, it was still getting big at this time. It was kind of big, but now it's more news. Now it's more like a news channel, but yeah, I'm in on World Star, so I've been pretty happy about that. I only talked to one local news station here, so I'm actually surprised by how far the story got. I was getting DMs from people in Israel, Europe. I've gotten Canada, people from Canada messaging me.
Wow.
It's kind of overwhelming. I've had many people find my social medias when I didn't even have my last name on my social medias.
Yeah.
I was using my middle name as my last name, so it was pretty. It was kind of overwhelming at first, because I was also one that, didn't like all the attention, and then out of nowhere, just likes and messages and a lot of creeps too.
Yeah, and you're at the same time trying to process this crazy thing that happened to you that, was traumatic in a lot of ways too. So you've got that aspect of it, and then the public scrutiny, and I'm sure there was, good and bad coming from being kind of in the spotlight, right?
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a Christian, and I made a decision that I don't have to hold it. I don't have to carry it. And I just give it to God, and he will handle it for me. Like I said before, life goes on. Responsibilities doesn't stop. And I still have kids that I need to take care of. I have a toddler, and he gets all of my attention now, and he's sick of me. But now there's more good coming from it, from that one bad part. So I'm able to keep a positive attitude and, keep moving forward. And I mean, I think he got the worst part of it too. He pleaded guilty.
Oh, wow.
That's what I was going to ask, because I was going to ask as a follow-up, what happened to him? What has he been charged? What did they charge him with?
Aggravated assault, trying to pass counterfeit, and there was another thing I'm not sure of, but he also had a warrant out for a parole violation at that time.
Shock.
Which
What a shocker.
detectives told me that was most likely what got him upset versus the fake $100 bill. That, me calling the police, it would, cameras, they would come up there and see the cameras and everything because of it. So, he was trying to stop me from calling the police, not necessarily his money.
Because he didn't want to go to jail, right?
Right. DA had called me, told me that before he even offered, that the guy, his name is Kenneth, before Kenneth even heard a deal, he already admitted guilt. He said he was in the wrong, and he knew it, that he's just gonna take what they give.
Wow.
So they gave him 3 years in prison, 7 years probation.
Well, I hope you get an apology one day from him. You don't care about that.
Do you feel that the 3 years is sufficient? How do you feel about that?
Yeah. I'm normally a pretty forgiving person. So, I overall, I do hope, he's okay. I hope he's hurting, but I hope he's okay at the same time,
Yeah.
Fair.
I'm happy that he did live, that maybe a little bit more selfish, but glad that I don't have to walk around knowing that I killed somebody.
Right.
But it's karma's karma. He got shot and put in prison.
Stop the attack. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm home.
Good
Right.
for you.
Exactly. Well, we're so happy that you made it through that, and that you were able to do what you needed to do to defend yourself. And, we're sorry for how 7-Eleven has treated you. This is not nice of them at all, but hopefully you've seen a lot of good come out of it, and hopefully you get a job you really enjoy and all of that.
Yeah, now you get to tell people you made it on Gun Owners Radio. You'll go, Gun Owners Radio. Yeah, there you go. Nice.
I've already told a few people. So
Well, thank you so much. Okay, so let me get this all organized, but I think what we're gonna do, I know what we're gonna do, is we're gonna get you an Enigma, which is a type of holster.
Yep,
I'll
get one out to
We're gonna
you
get you
shortly.
training, and then I think, well, tell me about. So the firearm you have was it was a hand-me-down from.
I looked it up. What caliber was it? I was looking it up. A majority of them are 22s or 25s.
It was a 9.
A 9. Okay.
Okay.
That's going to be hard to find a holster for. I'm going to be honest.
Here's what we're going to do.
Is it a JA9? Is that the name of it? It's the Jimenez
Yes.
Arms 9mm. Okay.
I think we're going to. I'm just going to.
Yeah.
That was already on my
We
to-do
need-
list.
yeah.
I was going to talk to you about that
We're
later.
going to get you
Yeah.
a gun.
Yeah.
We're going to get
We'll
you a
get
gun.
you something
We're
better.
going to get you a better firearm for self-defense that'll go with the Enigma. Of course, you'll have to go through all the steps, the
And
background
FFL and
check and the
everything.
FFL and
Yeah.
everything. But we're going to find you a firearm. We're going to get you a holster, and we're going to get you training. I'm going to look at maybe a 2-day class or something like that. We'll see. But we're going to get that all organized. Give me a little bit of time, but we're going to make sure you get taken care of. I'm sorry 7-Eleven treated you horribly, but Gun Owners Radio is going to do everything we can to try to make sure that you're fully protected in case anything like this ever happens again.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
you.
Anything
Wow.
else you want to say to our audience or about the incident?
No.
No. Okay. Well, you did a good job. I look forward to following you on TikTok, and you did a great job here today. And
Thank you.
I'm glad you get to spent the holidays with your family and your little toddler. And I wish you the absolute best of luck.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day. Happy
You
New
too.
Year.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, so as you guys all know, AB 1127 passed, which is the Glock ban bill, they call it. And basically, if a firearm that has the cruciform part, which they say makes it easily convertible to fully auto, then it can't be sold in California. But basically, it really only applies to Glock and a very few other models. And it takes effect January 1st, but FFLs who have Glocks in their inventory were able to sell through June until July. So they didn't have to get rid of it by January 1st. But I'm finding out that there is a little bit of a curveball there. So AB 1127 says that Glocks in inventory can be sold through till July of 2026, but many of the models coincidentally have dropped off the roster starting January 1st, 2026. And the issue is you have to comply with both parts of the law. You have to comply with AB 1127 and you have to comply with the roster. Now, Glock has made it clear from what I'm hearing from FFLs that they're not going to renew and stay on the roster just so they can be there for 6 months, which means that even though you're able to sell many models of Glocks up until July 1st, many of them have fallen off the roster, which means they can't be sold after January 1st. So it's done, it's gone. My understanding is some of the models, I don't know if this is all or some, I don't have a thorough list in front of me, but the Glock 20, the 22, the 23, the 29, and the 30, and I don't know if it's all 30s or just the short frame, the 30 SF, but my understanding is the FFLs I talked to over the last couple of days, the 20, the 22, the 23, the 29, and the 30 SF have dropped off the roster. So even if an FFL has that in inventory, they can't sell it up until July 1st like they can with other models of the Glock.
Yeah, the full list is actually
I have it
quite
right
a
here.
bit longer. Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. So it's 34, 30 SF, 20C, 33, 29 SF, 21C, 38 OD, 17C, 32, 22C, 27, 35, 27 OD, 22, 34 OD, 31 OD, 29 OD. It goes on. There's
21,
there's
right,
like
22.
30 more.
So all of them drop off the roster on January 1st, 2026.
Yes.
So
yes.
the 19th,
so they dropped off.
Yeah, the 19C
3
is
days ago.
off. The 17C is off. I'm looking through the list and complete. Looks like the 17 and the 19 are still on.
It feels to me like they took most of the like kind of oddball Glocks that aren't
Right.
super popular. You know, like the normal, like 26 isn't on here, 19's not on here, 17's not on here. It's
Right.
more like the kind of oddball
Although
options.
the 19C was pretty popular, but
Yeah, 19C was pretty
it's off.
popular.
Well,
actually.
I think they just decided. I think it's a coincidence. I think this is when they should have renewed, but Glock is like, well, we're not going to sell them anymore.
Right,
right,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
yeah.
the 19s and 17s are going to be the ones that are mostly out there in shops.
Yeah,
So
the
if you're-
26 is a
if
little
they're gonna
bit.
if they're going to pay to re-up anything, they're going to go
Yeah.
with what's going to benefit them the most.
So they've just, again, I'm hearing this secondhand from somebody who contacted Glock. It's an FFL local here in San Diego who contacted Glock and said, "Hey, you guys going to renew?" And they said, "Nah, we're not going to renew. It
It's
doesn't
official on the roster. It dropped off 1/1.
sense." So yet another complication, yet another wrinkle in this drama that is AB 1127. So as of right now, we don't really know what's going to happen when it comes to Glocks and civilian sales of Glocks in California. The Gen 6 doesn't appear to fit the criteria so that it'll be fast-tracked onto the roster. It doesn't look like we're ever going to be able to own Gen 6s. FPC, SAF, NRA has filed a lawsuit, but it's been kind of quiet ever since Glock said, "Hey, we're not going to, we're coming out with this new Gen 6. Well, actually, they came out with a Gen V, and then almost immediately came out with a Gen 6. And the V and the 6, neither one of them looks like they're going to be able to make it to the roster. And again, that lawsuit's been super quiet. I don't think anybody really knows exactly what the plan is right now or what will happen in the future. I know that people are chomping at the bit to undo this and make sure that it's not permanent. And by the way, there are other versions of guns that fit the criteria that aren't Glock that would qualify as part of this lawsuit. So in other words, you don't have to have wanted a Glock. There are other types of guns that fit the criteria. The cruciform
Shadow systems, for example.
Shadow systems is a perfect example. I believe Ruger has at least one. So if a plaintiff wants those guns or an FFL wants to sell those guns, there's still a case to be made, but I'm just not sure. I don't know. It's what an interesting set of circumstances we have here. But as of right now, unless you're one of the very few Glocks that are left on the roster that are in someone's inventory, an FFL's inventory, before January 1st, or you're buying at private party transfer, I don't know how you buy a Glock in California. You don't buy a Glock in California, not right now.
Yeah, what's interesting is that the Department of Justice, they keep this kind of running list on their website where you can see all of the recently added guns to the roster and you can see all the ones that have been recently removed. And I was just like scrolling through this list just to see kind of what else is on here. And in all of 2023, they only removed 5 firearms off of the roster. In 2024, they only removed 7. In 2025, it was almost 30. And then January 1st, 2026, it was over 100. So either that were not renewed, that have dropped off the roster. So either companies are, discontinuing, it seems like the 2023, 2024 ones might just be that like guns were getting discontinued or companies were, putting something new on the roster or whatever. But 2025 and 2026, like these are still, I see guns on here that are still somewhat popular. So I don't know if companies are just planning on, are getting tired of working with California and are starting to kind of move away from that, or if there's something else going on. But it seems like we're losing a lot of guns this year.
Losing a lot of guns. Some have been added, though, for the first time in a while, thanks to there are a couple of different lawsuits. One that San Diego County Gun Owners is a plaintiff on, and Second Amendment Foundation is a big part of, or they're the lion's share of the work. We're plaintiffs on it. We're proud of it. And then CRPA filed a similar one after we did, and it has to do with the roster. And the results are that you don't have to comply. Manufacturers don't have to comply with the stamp.
Yeah, the micro stamping technology that doesn't even exist.
Doesn't exist. So the Hellfire, for example, got added, and there's a SIG or two that got Hellfire. That sounds even cooler.
Yeah,
but it's a Hellcat. Cool. Wow, it does kind of sound lame now that you. Now, Hellfire would sound so much cooler.
That does sound so much
cooler.
cooler.
Hellcat sounds a little wimpy.
Yeah, Springfield. You've got a new name idea.
I know. Come on, Springfield. SIG had a couple. There's a number of ones that have been added. That's good. But you're right. There was a mass exodus from the roster.
There was, yeah.
There's a lot of SIGs and a lot of Nighthawk 1911s as well that were removed. A lot of them. Yep.
And I mean, I referred to this thing accurately as a slow-moving de facto ban.
Right.
That's exactly
It
what
is
was
what
happening.
it is. Yeah.
It didn't ban everything overnight, and it wasn't meant to. It wasn't couched or presented as a ban, but the effect was it was banning pistols, and it was moving very slowly because as manufacturers came out with new models, or they just didn't want to put up with the cost or ridiculousness of having to comply, then we were losing every year.
Yeah.
Sometimes hundreds, sometimes dozens, but sometimes hundreds in a year. So, yeah, I don't really know. What do you guys think? What's the future of Glock? What do you think? How are they going to, what needle are they going to thread to be able to, I mean, they're losing, California is an enormous firearms market.
I don't think they really care. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they are going to see some, change in their bottom line, and they're going to lose some profits, and they're going to change their mind or something. But I think they're probably just going to let California go and focus on the other 49.
If you look at what they would have to do to comply, I don't know that it would financially make the business sense for them to comply. They've refused to comply before. I don't blame them. I don't fault them. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to lose some, but what would they have to invest to have a chance of being in California, and is it worth it to them? I'm hopeful that I'm wrong, but I don't foresee them coming back strong. But you know what? We are going to persevere, just like with all the stupid AR laws. It's just going to force us to get creative. We're still going to get the things. It's just going to be a matter of we got to get creative.
Well, I've never seen you wrong before, so I don't think you're going to be wrong.
We'll see.
I don't know.
They brought out the bullet button. We got the juggernaut. We got the kingpin. There's ways that we're going to get creative to still get what we need. It's just going to be a little inconvenient. I don't know. We'll see.
You know what's going to happen now that we recorded this, now that we've done this segment, like tomorrow, Glock is going to come out with this groundbreaking way to take over California.
I would love to be wrong.
I would love to be wrong.
I would love to be wrong.
So there you go. So if you're wondering what happened to all the Glocks and you thought you'd be able to buy them up until June, there are a number of models that have completely fallen off the roster, so that you can't purchase them, even though 1127 said you could until June. That's what's going on. Wanted to make you aware and fully understand what you are and are not able to do here going into 2026. But we don't have all the answers, and there's going to be a lot of answers that are come out over the next couple of months. So stay tuned. So there you go.
Are you looking to clean, lubricate, and protect your firearm with a green engineered product which has been battlefield tested and proven best to protect your firearm investment? Seal One is the revolutionary liquid cleaner that cuts through carbon buildup and protects against copper, lead, and future fouling. Clean, lube, and protect in one with Seal One. Ask your local gun shop or log onto seal1.com.
Okay, it's time for everybody's favorite, Stump My Nephew. Sam is, of course, my nephew, and as you know, every week we find a new question for him. If you email us a question that has to do with gun function or history or trivia, any kind of Second Amendment or gun trivia, and we use it on the air, we'll send you a hat or a shirt, whatever you prefer. And if you stump my nephew, then we'll give you a special prize. And he doesn't hear these questions until live. He doesn't get to study them. He doesn't have any ability to research them. So there you go. Sam, how's it going, man?
I'm well. How are you guys?
Fantastic. Happy New Year to you. Did you have a good New Year?
Yeah. Happy New Year to you too.
Good. Okay. So if you remember, last week we talked to Charlie of Riding Shotgun with Charlie fame. And we tasked him with coming up with a question of his own for Stump My Nephew, and he did it. He came up with a good question. I think it's a good question. So, Dakota, do you want to read the question?
How about you read the question?
I'll read the question. Okay. All right, ready? This is from Charlie from Massachusetts. His question is: John Moses Browning designed a pump-action shotgun in 1919. It was designed for FN Herstal. It was produced from 1922 to 1974. They made about 150,000 of these shotguns. It was a rifle. It was 150,000 of these rifles.
Wait, this is confusing.
It is confusing. It was a pump-action rifle that would shoot 22 short, 22 long, and 22 long rifle. It had an 11 round tube magazine. I think he messed up at the beginning there. It was not a pump action shotgun, it was a pump action rifle. What was the name of this rifle? Okay, so one more time. John Moses Browning designed a pump action rifle in 1919. It was designed for F.N. Herstal. It was produced from 1922 to 1974. They made about 150,000 of these rifles. It was a pump action rifle that would shoot 22 short, 22 long, and 22 long rifle. It had an 11 round tube magazine. What was the name?
Ooh, well, let me first of all say he got me with this one. I have no idea. Gosh, yeah, well, yeah, he got me.
You guys, okay, well, let's, I'll tell you what.
Well, wait, before you give the answer. There is such a thing. I don't know if it's the case with this particular firearm, but there is such a thing as a shotgun chambered for rifle ammunition, and it's going to be 22 LR when that's the case. It's a very tiny niche of basically garden guns that are designed for pest control, shooting snakes, rats, whatever, that are infesting your vegetable garden, and they are chambered for 22 LR, 22 common rimfire rounds, but they have smooth barrels because they're designed exclusively to fire rat shot or snake shot, which is the bullet. It's just like a normal round, but the bullet is replaced with this sort of capsule, I guess you could describe it, that contains very tiny, essentially birdshot pellets. So it's like it is like a shotgun shell for a rifle or handgun cartridge. You can get them in other cartridges too. I have some for 38. You can, I think they make 45 rat shot. They make 9mm rat shot. But I have heard of 22 LR shotguns, really, that have smooth barrels. Again, I don't know if that's what he's talking about, but
I don't know. So you're saying it may be a pump action shotgun that is all well, but he uses the term rifle. It's smooth.
Yeah,
smooth
I'm looking at it. I Googled the answer and found a photo of it. I am curious, is really the main difference, this is going to sound like a stupid question, the main difference is that rifles have rifling and shotguns have smooth barrels? Is that like they can both be the same action type? They could both be pump action?
Yeah. If something is called a rifle, it has to have
Rifling.
a rifling or rifled barrel. Yeah.
But can a shotgun also have a rifled barrel, or no shotgun ever would have a rifled barrel?
No, slug barrels come rifled, right?
Right. So what's the difference? Like how what's the line in the sand of like this is a rifle, this is a shotgun?
Yeah. Well, I think most people just call them long arms.
Yeah, slug guns.
Yeah. I don't think. I don't think it's as scientific maybe as it should be, but it's I think the proper term is it's a long arm.
Okay.
Whether it's a rifle or a shotgun or whatever. If it's not a pistol, it's not a handgun. It's a long arm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think it's as as formal a term, right? I don't know. So Sam, what do you think about that?
Well, it just like a lot of things, it depends on whether you're talking about the real definition or the legal definition in the United States. I guess it would have to be 18 USC 921 or 922, the part of the federal code that has all the firearm regulations. There are stated definitions of what's a rifle, what's a shotgun, what's a pistol, what's any other weapon. And there are firearms that fall outside of those. What's a machine gun? What's a silencer, et cetera, et cetera. There are firearms that fall outside of all those categories and are just firearm. Like some shotgun derivatives that I'm not exactly clear on why they count as firearm, but these sort of bird's head grip shotguns, they have barrels that are too short for them to be shotguns, but they don't have stocks, so they can't be, or ATF has decided that they aren't long arms, and they aren't handguns either. So it's neither fish nor fowl. But to answer your actual question, if you wanted to be a purist about it and say that a shotgun is something that has a smooth barrel and a rifle is something that has a rifled barrel with spiral grooves in it, or with a polygonal rifling like some Glocks. The 22 garden gun sort of class would be, I guess they would be shotguns, because even though they fire rifle or handgun ammunition, depending on what you want to count 22 LR as, they're designed to fire shot and they have smooth barrels. Whereas a slug gun, I guess, would be a rifle, even though it is just a shotgun with a different barrel and it fires shotgun shells. It has a rifled barrel. It's a rifle.
So there it is. All right.
But it's like you could picture a Remington, Remington 870 with a normal barrel, and then a Remington 870 with the same length barrel but rifled, and put them right next to each other and say which one's the shotgun, which one's the rifle. And it's, these are technical minutia.
And tell people, for the kids at home, explain, go into an explanation of what you used the word polygonal. What
polygonal rifling,
which I think is only legal in Utah. I'm not sure.
No comment. Conventional rifling is you have a barrel and there are spiral grooves cut into it, or there are spiral grooves embedded in it through a forging process. But polygonal rifling is, instead of having sharply cut grooves, the entire profile of the bore resembles not a perfect hexagon or octagon, but it's sort of like a rounded hexagon or octagon. The corners are rounded, so as the bullet enters the lead of the rifling, it's squished into that shape, just like when a bullet travels down a conventionally rifled barrel. But there are some theoretical advantages in terms of barrel longevity and muzzle velocity. I don't know if it's a huge difference. I do know that Glock says you aren't supposed to shoot hard cast lead bullets through their polygonally rifled barrels, and I guess that would be the case with other polygonally rifled barrels, but it's just another form of rifling. It
Gotcha.
does the same thing.
Okay, so we're gonna call it and say officially, Charlie stumped my nephew.
Oh yeah, he kicked my butt.
But I also want to see if we can walk you into the answer with a couple of clues. Okay. Clue number one is, remember what Charlie does for a living. He is a musician. He's a music teacher, and he got famous playing a horn on a gun video.
Oh, it's the trombone, isn't it?
Yes.
Exactly right. It is the FN Browning trombone, because of the way the action, because it's a pump action rifle.
Now, I hardly knew anything about the gun, but that's a name you don't forget.
Yeah. Well, I told him, I wrote him back and I said, this is a good FN question. So I was surprised you didn't get the
today.
I'm surprised you didn't get the FN answer, but it's a good FN question. The FN Browning trombone. The stocks and the forearms cracked often, he says. The FN trombone was produced between 22 and 74, with a few minor variations to the design of the receiver and the sights making their way in throughout the years. Its inception is marked by a curious turn of events with Winchester. As the story goes, Winchester had plans to introduce a hammerless 22 pump rifle, but found themselves stymied by Browning's patents on the trombone design. This forced Winchester to delay their own offering until 1932 with the Model 61. So there you go. Charlie, you stumped my nephew. You get a special prize, and the special prize is I'm going to call it a semi-romantic dinner with the host of Gun Owners Radio, Michael Schwartz, in Las Vegas during SHOT Show. That is your special prize, Charlie. I'm glad you won that prize, because imagine if somebody who wasn't even going to SHOT Show won that prize. What a coincidence. So there you go. All right, Sam. Happy New Year, man. Thank you as always. A lot of good information. Much appreciated. Any New Year's resolutions?
2560 by 1440.
That's great. I like it. Smart ass. All right. Cool, man. See you next week. Thanks for all you do.
See you next week. Thanks for having me on.
Okay. So one of the things we really want to do more of in the future, especially here in 2026, is build out what we've called the Pew Pew Crew. If you've watched the show, you know that for $4.99 a month, you can be a part of the Pew Pew Crew. It helps support Gun Owners Radio and make sure that we can bring you great content and information and ways to get involved so that you're armed with information. You know what you can do to be an effective activist. You can make meaningful change when it comes to Second Amendment. And if you are a member of the Pew Pew Crew, among other things, you're going to get early access to the segments. So when we post segments daily, you'll be able to watch those segments before they're even published. You'll be able to see them. You're going to have access to unique content that others won't be able to see at all. So we're going to make certain content that you'll only be able to see because you're in the Pew Pew Crew. And then we're also going to do weekly videos of us responding to the comments on our videos on YouTube. So we're getting a lot of interaction from folks, which we love. We'd invite more of it. Go in there, make a comment on our videos, ask questions, criticize, do whatever. But every week we're going to do a video where we actually go in and respond to the comments, and answer questions or do whatever, which I think will be extremely interesting. And then there's going to be some other deals that come along. If we have somebody in town, you may be able to train with them or meet with them just because you're a member of the Pew Pew Crew. You might get early access to that. But really, mostly what it's allowing us to do is to deliver a show that gets the Second Amendment out to folks that need to hear that message, whether it's here in San Diego where we record, or it's all of California, or even nationally. And I got to tell you, sometimes we even get comments from folks internationally. So please go to our channel, youtube.com/gunownersradio, and sign up for the Pew Pew Crew. It's only $4.99 a month. You get some really cool benefits. You get to say you're a member of the Pew Pew Crew, and it helps us grow. So there you go. What do you guys think? What do you think about the, you were, Dakota, you walked in when I was doing the responding to the comments.
Yeah.
What do you think about that idea?
I love it because I think, for me as somebody who listens to podcasts or follows certain YouTubers, it's nice to see them interacting with their fan base, because it's also good for us to see, like, what do you guys think about our videos, and what, questions do you have, or are there things that we need to talk about more? So I think it's kind of a fun and interesting thing. The other side of it is that there's a lot of comments that we clearly don't agree with, and so that's fun too, because then we get to be like, no, we think you're wrong, and here's why, So
I know it's sometimes, I got to tell you, sometimes it gets under my skin. It gets under my skin though, because I just think to myself, gosh, if that person would just channel their energy and their anger into something productive, it would be so much better.
Yeah.
Like I don't really care if they insult me,
Right.
I'm sorry they're not attracted to me and insult my looks or whatever, or they don't agree with my opinion, or they're splitting some hair that, no, it's actually okay, fine. I get it. Sometimes it's kind of funny. I totally understand. I also totally understand that there are a lot of purists out there who they're like, no, it needs to be this, all or nothing. I get it. I don't have that luxury. I got to make sure that ball gets moved forward every single opportunity. Whether it's, I can't just say, hey, it's either a touchdown or nothing.
Right.
Like, we got to get that yard. We got to get that first down. We got to do it. So I don't have the luxury of being a purist and just being able to kind of sit in the cheap seats and just go, yeah, if it's either my way or it's total junk. But I just think to myself, gosh, I wish this person would get involved rather than thinking that, a comment insulting us or criticizing us is somehow activism,
Yeah, I think one thing that does bug me, like, I don't mind when people who are anti-Second Amendment are in our comments, because I'm glad that the algorithm fed them our video. I'm glad that they're there having discourse, and hopefully there's other pro-Second Amendment people in the comments who are willing to, like, go back and forth with them and maybe, slowly change an opinion or educate them, right? So that's always great. I love seeing, folks who don't agree with us in our comments. What does hurt a little bit more, and not hurt my feelings, but like hurt the movement, hurt the community, is when pro 2A folks are infighting in the comments. I hate seeing that. I hate seeing, I see a thread that's like 47 comments deep and I click see more, and it's all just like pro 2A people wasting their time arguing with each other when they agree on probably like 95% of gun related stuff, and they're, arguing over this like 5% of whatever. We get comments often that are about how we're not pro 2A enough, or that we are okay with California laws. I don't know what clip anybody has ever seen. I don't think I have ever once said, let's just be grateful for the crumbs that California is giving us. I've never said that. I have never once been like, yeah, there are some bad laws, but we've just got to deal with it. I'm the opposite. I'm like, we should not have any regulations, any legislation against Second Amendment in California. We do. It exists. It's there, but we shouldn't have it. We shouldn't have a roster. We shouldn't have not anymore, but the 1 in 30, all of these things that we have, people who live in California have become accustomed to. I'm not accustomed to it. I don't think it's right. I'm here fighting against all of that. But what people, get hung up on is that sometimes we'll have a small victory and we'll celebrate it on the show. We'll be like, wow, how great that this thing changed, or that there's some movement forward in this arena.
It's not enough.
And people are like, oh my God, they're bootlickers. They love anything California gives them. I'm like, that's not true at all. We just have to celebrate when there's wins. At least personally, I do, because it's so frustrating if you don't celebrate the wins. So...
Which is fine. Make your comments, everybody.
Yeah. No, keep commenting, please. It helps us get views and stuff. But no, I think that it's sad to see the infighting in the community when all of that effort could be spent trying to bring in people who aren't already mostly on our side. Like, let's get the folks who are on the fence, who have shot a gun but don't really have an opinion on policy. Let's get some of them to come onto our side and argue with them in the comments in a nice and respectful way,
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with all that. But, whatever. You guys want to have fun. At the very least, make it funny. I got to tell you, if you're going to insult me, I remember on a message board years ago, a political message board here in San Diego, we were arguing over a local politician had gotten busted for doing some financial weirdness, and on this message board we're going back and forth, and I always signed. My name on the message board was Michael A. Schwartz. I didn't hide behind anything. This is who I am. And I'm pretty sure finally someone chimed in and just like lit me up, and the funny thing, I'm pretty sure it was the politician that we were criticizing, and he hid his name.
Oh, funny.
But the funny thing was he referred to me as Michael A. Annoying. I was like, that's actually really funny. That's hilarious. I like that. So if you're going to insult us and you're going to get all mouthy and tough guy, at least be funny. Don't be boring about it. So, but I like it. I want to respond to I think some of them were thought-provoking. I think for the most part, people are well-meaning. Yeah. I think that the people who don't comment are actually, it's usually because they agree with what's going on. So I try not to get caught up with, gosh, we got 10 negative comments. We must be wrong about something. No.
Yeah. The dissenting voices are always going to be louder. It's just how it works, how people work.
Yeah. But if you want to see it, you got to be a member of the Pew Pew Crew.
That's it.
Yeah. So sign up, $4.99 a month. And that helps us exist. I got to tell you, it really is amazing the world we've created where everyone has access to the general population. Everyone can cheaply buy a camera and, pretty much for free get their content, whatever level of quality out there.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing. I think it's really neat. I think there are definitely some negatives. It used to be that in order to get your message in front of people, you were vetted on certain levels, which again is good and bad. But I got to tell you, one of the things I really enjoy when I'm flipping through whatever you name the platform, is how funny some people, like the normal everyday next door person, can be. I'm like, gosh, that's hilarious. Like that guy will have never have made it onto Saturday Night Live. He'll never be a stand-up comedian or whatever. It never would have happened. But here he or she gets to, do their thing in a video, and they're actually really creative and funny. I really kind of like that. I think that that's an amazing, brave new world. Right now, it seems to be like this huge shotgun of people, or, there's so many people doing so many things online. I'm wondering how, there has to be some kind of refinement in the future, and I'm not sure what that's going to look like. But, I guess what I'm saying is the successful people are going to have to kind of rise to the top, and I wonder what that will look like. But even so, there will be many more voices out there than ever were before, and I like it. I think it's good.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. I think it's interesting. Yeah. There you go. Pew Pew Crew, sign up. Go to youtube.com. You're probably watching it right now, so I don't have to give you the website. But if you just look underneath the video, it'll say join. $4.99 a month. Helps us exist. Gives you some really cool perks and benefits. And so appreciate it. Thanks.